All right. Welcome back, guys, for another wonderful episode of Triggered. Once again, we are bringing the coolest guests on, besides, me and Zach were, of course, the awesomeness.
Yeah, well, you know.
But no, thank you so much again, Chris, for coming on. This guy, if you guys have been following our podcast, he has been on a couple times now, and amazing uh, follower of us, and likewise for him. I'm not gonna blow his shit up because he can do it himself. I mean, he accolades to you, Chris. Thank you so much, brother, for coming on.
Oh, thanks for having me, man. Appreciate you guys thinking of me on this one.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we're going to be talking about something that's near and dear, not only to vets, but just people in general. Just music. I mean, and how it touches us and stuff like that. But, if you want, Zach, just tell them about the story that we were talking about just a few minutes ago off air of how we came up with this topic in this episode.
Yeah, so the other day, Tony, I can't remember what Tony texted me or what we were talking about, but like he put up something and I came back with a Rage Against the Machine, verse, and it kind of just fell into place from there. I mean, we were, like Amber from 311, the song, and it just kind of I grew up on that stuff, 311. I love 311, and just Rage Against the Machine, Korn, Slipknot. It just those are the ones that I grew up on. I mean, you got all the other ones too, but I mean those just stand out because those are what I listened to repeatedly. I knew every song on every CD from 311. I can't remember them now, but once you hear them, they come back to you right away, real quick too. It's like I'm away home from work today. I just decided to put Limp Bizkit on, the car radio, and like
Nice.
it just Nookie. You always the intro to Nookie, and it'll never go away. You sit there, start bobbing your head. You're at a red light, looking at somebody, then all of a sudden it just breaks out, and you just start singing word for word everything. It's crazy how it does that.
Yeah, definitely, man. I mean, Chris, what are some of your when you were a kid, and I say kid, I mean like the teenage years when you actually understood music and what it actually meant to you, your feelings? What are some of the huge bands you listened to?
So my dad was a hardcore old school metalhead.
Nice.
So I had Def Leppard and like Guns N' Roses and stuff like that. And I grew up with a neighborhood that had New Kids on the Block, to be honest with you. So we had the right stuff all the time, and and so it was basically just anything. Anything I could find, like Bobby, like New Edition, Bobby Brown. I love different types of music. I love different things that could just touch something. Like there's certain songs. Like there's some albums I don't like, but I like a certain song on that album. My go-to angry song, I have to say, is Limp Bizkit Break Stuff. You cannot
classic.
You cannot be not angry with that song. It's a classic thing. But there's there's not many bands. Like I wasn't really big into the grunge at first. Took me a while to appreciate that. But like Alice Cooper, one of my favorite Alice Cooper albums is one of my dad's. It's Poison, which a lot of people don't like. I don't know if you know that album.
Yes, I do.
I do. Yeah.
With,
I thought it was a good album. I think it was
album.
rated.
Yeah, some people don't like it because it's like his softer one. But it's in another fun fact for you, Zach. You're a huge 311 fan. Have you heard about the story? Probably like 15 years ago, with 311 and the lead singer of Creed, Scott Scrapp.
No, I didn't.
Oh, so there was a Thanksgiving. They ended up driving. 311 was doing a Thanksgiving thing at a hotel. There's tour buses was outside. Scott was completely wasted, absolutely wasted. Crashes their Thanksgiving. Says something to one of the band members' wives. They all beat the crap out of him.
Good.
And then he had to do TV. He had to do TV the next day. You could see the cake on stuff. And then he finally did like a handwritten apology to them, like, probably like 2 or 3 years ago when he finally got sober. But
Wow.
Wow.
yeah, so there you go. They're badasses too, not just chill.
Yep.
They
Yeah.
actually speak. They actually speak from their lyric. They actually follow through. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
It's
Yeah.
crazy too. Like some people, you know, nowadays you understand what the music is trying to put out, what the music is trying to tell you. Back in the day, most people didn't really understand it.
Mhm.
I saw the one TikTok last night. Actually, I can't remember. I was trying to find it. I can't remember it, but it was and it's kind of all music, but it was about drugs, but you didn't really get it until you're, you know, in your 30s, you know, and
Mhm.
then you finally understand, oh, hey, this is what they're talking about.
Hotel California.
Oh,
What's that?
good one.
Hotel California. Are you talking about that one?
Yeah. But no, it's crazy. I was watching last year. I saw a episode of Ghost Adventures.
Mhm.
They were doing a haunted music venue hangout spot where a lot of people performed. It was like a secret club, you know, that nobody talked about on the outside. Um, like Chris Cornell was there.
Mhm.
Alice in Chains was there. You know, everybody had their name on the wall. It was either, you know, penciled in, scratched in with a knife,
Mhm.
but it was kind of cool to see how many people went through that venue and how they got their start. The Doors got their start through there. Um,
Mhm.
uh, Chris Cornell, every a lot of people got their start through there, and
Yeah.
it was secret. Nobody knew about it. Nobody knew what went on in that place. Um, I
Mhm.
guess because
Really?
yeah, when you in the back there, you walk through the back, and then to your left there's a bathroom, and then on the same side on the left there is a way to get down to the basement. Well, the stairs were like, Tony, you remember your old apartment? How steep
Oh
they were,
God.
but they were thinner.
Yep. Like the old subway. Not
Yeah,
subway. I'm sorry. Submarine stairs in the ship
submarine
and
stairs.
stuff.
You
Yeah.
could barely fit one person on it, and I guess
Mhm.
that person, you know, never really got to leave the place, so he just stayed there because they didn't find him for like 3 days.
Oh shit.
Yeah,
It's probably too because like on that kind of situation, it was probably he was so drug induced that obviously he tripped and fell because a normal person would, but being so I mean back then it was like I mean it's still very prominent. I'm not saying it's not, but like back in the like 70s, 80s, especially the early 90s, it was that transition of drugs where it was from your cocaine and all that shit where they started mixing a lot of shit and ended up, you know, ecstasy came out, them MDMA, a lot of other wild shit was coming out where all of a sudden you're trying to go down these stairs per se and you're literally thinking you're flying. I mean, I remember watching the Doors on MTV, some of their older videos when Jim Morrison was high on peyote, you know, and that's an old school. I mean, that goes back to wait, and he literally thought he was flying, and he was
yeah,
doing the whole bird, you know, and it was again, he was very attached to Native American side, but it was one of those things where like them motherfuckers were crazy, man.
yep,
You
Yeah.
know, and that you know something like that, like the Studio 54 popularity inside a almost a pathway, a earning your stripes type venue. You know,
yeah,
House of Blues and all these other huger places that the Apollo, things like that, that every
yep,
artist almost has to go through. Um, the Grand Ole Opry, you know, for country, these are these certain ones you have to go through to really like make it. But something like that would be awesome to see, like an old school, like underground type shit. You know, that's wild.
Yeah.
I know myself. I was huge into like the new metal and the emo metal, I would call it, of like the late '90s, early 2000s. Obviously, Corn, Limp Bizkit. I think Limp Bizkit. Everyone. So back in school, it was like okay to listen to them, but like you weren't cool, you know, because everyone wore a white shirt and a red hat. But like they were underrated as well. One of my favorite songs by Limp Bizkit, besides Break Stuff and Nookie, because those were like great classics, was Faith. I like the original version
Yep.
by George Michaels. I'm pretty sure that was his name correctly.
Mhm.
Was Faith, but their version of it had more emotion to it.
Yeah.
And there's a whole lot of other people who have covered that song, but I think Limp Bizkit did the best performance of it, the best cover of it.
They do Behind Blue Eyes really good too.
Behind
But,
Blue Eyes was phenomenal.
yeah, I like their version of it too. Like,
Yes, I felt when they came, I want to say it was their fourth album or fifth album, when they started getting into more of the acoustic stuff, like when they brought Stained on, and they really, what's the song that they do with Stained? Fred does with Aaron on stage, Outside. No, it's not Outside.
But I'm on the outside.
And I'm looking that one. That song
Yeah.
alone, just the lyrics alone, not even the is like some real real shit that when
Yeah,
you
I charge now for you for me to serenade you.
I'll write that check out. Well, like those are those songs, like you said, Zach, that you don't realize what they actually mean and how much they mean to people until you get older and you're like, oh shit, that was some real shit.
Yeah.
Like he was like on the inside, I'm ugly, and things like you think about it and you're like, oh yeah, it's cool, it's a good beat, whatever. But like then you start thinking like when you get older and you can really resonate with these songs and you're like, damn, like that was some crazy shit back then. But I always liked the new metal stuff, Korn, Limp Bizkit, Orgy. I liked a lot of Linkin Park when they first came out. Again, a lot of the darker, deeper Blue October, stuff like that. That was more of the deeper meaning. And then I started getting in more of the I call it the emo screamo side, but the Used, Hawthorne Heights, Yellow Card, things like that, Story of the Year, things like that. That's when I kind of really came out of my shell with that kind of music. But again, I love all music, but I really like to resonate. Like when I listen to music, I want to feel fulfilled. It's like eating a meal. I want to feel filled after listening to an album. I want to hear a story and feel. A lot of the new stuff I feel is just kind of fluffy. Like anyone can have a cookie or some snacks, but some of the new stuff is just too the radio stuff, I should say, is too fluffy to me.
Yeah.
What do you think about that, Zach? Would you agree, or
What's that?
just like a lot of the new stuff you hear on the radio, even though it's still decent, it's not like it used to be. It doesn't have that substance to it.
It doesn't hit home. Every song, every CD that I had, you could relate to it. I know there's songs out there now you can relate to, but some of them are annoying. For example, Jelly Roll, Save Me. I mean, I love the dude. Don't get me wrong. I think he's great,
Right.
but it's just like it has that
certain.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. It's great. I've listened to it plenty of times, but after a while, it kind of just all right. Enough's enough. We understood it. The first two verses, but like back in the day, like who am I thinking of? One scotch, one bourbon, one beer.
One beer, George Thorogood.
Yes.
Yep.
You could. There are people out there that are actually like that.
Oh yeah.
You change the locks on the doors. It's.
Yep. Running from the rent and yeah.
Yeah. Like John from the shop, he passed away a couple weeks ago, but
yeah.
Van Morrison from the Doors.
Oh yeah.
And just George Thorogood, and he was telling me stories, of they would just walk around high and drunk all day long. Van Morrison, he wasn't able to perform at a concert because he was so drunk on stage that he fucking just passed out right on the stage.
Yep.
like he couldn't perform at all. And he said that's how it was too when he went to Woodstock back in the day. You know, his buddy there, Morris, didn't know how he got back to his car. Like they would literally park 8 to 10 miles away and walk, and then you're just doing dope and fucking everything for a week
straight.
And then you come out, you take a left, you walk down the road, and all of a sudden you're at your fucking car. Like, how the hell did I get here? You know, it's like back in the day.
Yeah,
when I used to go out to the bar and drink. You know, like,
yeah, we've all had those.
How'd I get home?
See the truck parked half sideways, and you're like, "Oh shit, what the fuck did I do?"
But, you know, I'm into the old stuff a lot. You know, at the shop, I'll throw on, you know, classical music, and you know, I'll just listen to it all day long for 8 hours straight, and it's just, you know, and I know those songs too. It's crazy. You know, you can go from classical to, you know, hard rock to, you know, some rap music, and you know, Tony listens to a lot of the Nordic, and you know, which I'll put a smile on his face too. You know, I listen to that quite a bit also now.
Yeah.
So you know, it has some good beat to it.
Yeah. I mean, Chris, now let me ask you this. You know, obviously me and Zach know your past with your music. Some of these huge bands you've got networks with. You know, let me fluff your wings a little. Can you tell us a little bit about that? I mean, because, you know, proof is in the pudding, brother.
In the pudding.
It's in the pudding. You can't have any meat without your pudding. So.
Yeah, I know. I hate talking about myself. That's the problem.
I know. That's why I'm bringing it out.
Chris, am I allowed to show one photo?
No.
I was waiting for that one.
It's got nobody's face in it.
No, you can show Tony, but that's it.
Nope. I'll just.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's basically it. You know.
I'll just show that photo. That's all.
All right. Yeah. So I started off playing, like, my dad was in the music stuff, working in clubs and stuff, and he has a lot of big influence on me. And I started playing guitar. Me and my brother started a band. We were pretty good. Had a record label look at us for a pretty good time. And then after that, we decided I couldn't do the band thing. It was just too much. So I decided to open up a production company and book and manage bands from the local scene here in Massachusetts and northern New England. And it was fun. It was a good time. And I ended up networking with a lot of bigger acts. And me being younger, I was always trying to be hungrier and hungrier and hungrier to try to get bigger and bigger and bigger, make my company bigger, make my brand bigger. And I was very fortunate enough to get the eye of the #1 New England, that's not Live Nation, promoter who does a huge festival called Loca Bazooka here. And I was able to intern under him for like probably 8 or 9 years. And he took care of me. That's how I met like the guys from Shinedown and worked with them. I worked with Dropkick Murphys. I worked with I'm looking at all my set list stuff over here.
Yeah, you go. Just read those over.
Godsmack, Brett Michaels, tons of, just basically like tons of bands and stuff.
All the big heavy hitters pretty much in the scene.
No, yeah. So basically it's been a good ride, you know, and I decided, then I started working on radio and working events and doing other stuff, and then became friendlies with some of these guys, and by my work ethic, and it's been an awesome ride. And it's a definitely, for my life I always had a day job my whole time. In my life, I've always wanted to do music. If I was born in 1970, I would have been tits. I would have been taken care of, but that's not the case. You know, I was born in the 80s. So, so.
The 80s and 90s, I think, especially I'd say for like us guys, especially in like music scene, because like I played a little guitar. I DJ'd for years and years. It's that drive, like the mid '90s to 2000 was, I'd say, an insurgence of change, and it was from everything that was classic, like, okay, you can do this, and then everything just changed. It was really, you grab music, do it on the wall, and boom, this big splatter. Nobody knew what the fuck they were doing in the early 2000s. Honestly,
Yeah.
whether it was rock, pop, country, it just all got splattered. And then now I feel now we're slowly starting to kind of go back down and say, okay, we can kind of subgenre all this. Although a lot of the genres are mixing. I mean, you see guys like, for instance, and I hate saying it because I'm not a huge fan of pop country, but like Kane Brown and Marshmello, you're mixing country with EDM. You're mixing rock with EDM.
Yeah.
You're mixing all these different genres that you would never have had before, not even close to thinking about. And then
Yeah.
all of a sudden they're mixing and they're making great music.
Yep.
And
Yeah,
it's just
the last two Papa Roach albums
Mm,
they're heavy, but they're also like really freaking good. And Jacoby, I like his delivery with everything that he does.
yes, he puts 100%.
And that one song that he has, it's You're Not the Only One, and
Mm,
it's basically like it's a like a C minor chord. It's a happier chord, and it's just like he's like, yeah, I'm a loser, and he's like talking all this stuff, and it's like a happy song. And then like when he goes into the chorus, it goes deep into drop D, and he's like a monster. So it's basically like everyone in their face are all smiling, everyone's happy, but when you get into hair, you got your demons.
Yeah.
Just
And
the
that-
inner levels of that stuff is amazing. And like the one of the best live shows, if you guys ever want to go to a live show, and I know it's a lot of fucking money right now, but if you ever wanted to see a live show that makes you feel rejuvenated, please go see my guys from Shinedown. They will make you feel like you went to church.
Yeah, man, that's actually part of our bucket list. Is Shinedown. Stephanie, that's one of her favorite bands. Over the Christmas area time, she wanted to see TSO, Trans-Siberian Orchestra.
Yep.
And I was very fortunate to be able to deliver that to her. And she was like a little kid, and she was like, oh my God, the theatrics and the storyline. That's the way shows should be, Just like I've seen Papa Roach live, and they're the same way. I mean, they're the same with Slipknot. Slipknot, if I feel, even if you don't like metal, Slipknot as a show is one to see just with the theatrics and the way Corey Taylor, along with the rest of the band, but Corey Taylor really brings that. He gets the people involved.
Yeah.
Five Finger Death Punch, again, I've seen them quite a few times. Ivan Moody, even through a lot of his demons, still come out and he brings kids up on stage. Like, it's a kid friendly show. He drops the F-bomb and there's fire and raw, let's go. But like, it's that whole entertainment side of it. And I feel with a lot of bands nowadays, they're kind of into it, grab their money and run.
Yeah.
Where these bands who are actually passionate about the music are into the entertainment side.
So my insider thing, not to cut you off.
No, absolutely, go ahead.
So you brought up like those small places that you were just talking about. So in Boston, we had the Channel, we had the Rat, we had Middle East downstairs, we had like a lot of these places that, like, Dropkick started, the Bosstones started, RIP. I'm still hurting about the Bosstones. I don't know if you guys heard, but the Bosstones broke up.
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm still grieving. And just like a lot of the big bands like that came from Boston had to work their way up to get to these things. And what happened was they didn't become independent anymore. They became owned by Live Nation.
Yes.
So basically Live Nation deals are like, not to like bash them or anything. They're kind of like, this is our little bubble. These who sell. This is who sells.
Triangle.
Yeah. Upside down.
You already know where I'm going with that.
And so this is our little bubble. This is who sell tickets, and we're gonna pump that through the radio station, and we're gonna pump that through this. So those bands that you normally would not see or opening for good bands are not opening for good bands. You're just getting the same people over and over again. And that's kind of like what the feed me the shit thing,
Yeah.
mentality. it's all about where's the money is right now. Like when that Country Road song came out,
Yeah,
I
exactly.
everyone became that, you know.
Yeah. So I found it. The place in California is called the Alley.
The Alley. Okay.
The Alley. Yep. Um, it's in North
Yeah.
Hollywood. So um, there's a bunch of entities that are in there. It's pretty crazy because there's all these different rooms and music legends that have been there. Um, like they have this one wall. It's kind of hard to
Oh,
like that
wow.
whole white wall is just littered with artists' names all over it, autographs. Oh, and
Yeah.
those that's the stairs, Tony.
That's awesome. I
That's
mean
the one that's the one the guy fell down. Um,
that's crazy.
so
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
it's
We did that for the club that I was booking at. We had them sign the whole wall. And
Yeah.
before we shut down, I wanted to cut down the wall, but we were leasing the building. The owner was leasing it, so we couldn't do it. I wanted to cut it down
Son
because
of a bitches.
we had the guys from Smile Empty Soul sign it and Pop Evil.
Yup.
Zach Myers from Shinedown because he played acoustically
Nice.
with Brent. So it was like we had all that stuff. I wanted to cut it down and like me and my business partner split it and frame it
Yep.
because it was like the whole freaking room.
Yeah.
But it was all good.
I mean, those are those people, like, those are those signatures that you see live. I remember DJing and even being able to get into some free shows here or there where it's like, oh, yeah, they're coming. But, like, going to, like, the small local bars where, for instance, in the Albany area, not a lot of people realize, but the group in this moment, Maria Brink, is from our area. And her family is still from this area. Like, I'm actually really good friends with quite a few of them, and it's just like one of those things where it's like she would come out to a bar just to relax and have fun, and people, as soon as they saw it was her, it was like boom. And it's like, no, they just want a place where they could chill. So there was certain places, and of course I'm not going to blast it out right now because it's actually under new management, where they would go just to go up into the VIP just to relax and have fun and dance and not care. But being the area where we are, they realize like you're still like, we remembered them as like when they first started out. So we're not going to hassle them. We're just going to have fun like we all do.
Yeah.
So it's awesome to have those smaller places like that they can go and be comfortable and do their own thing and enjoy themselves. Because
Yeah.
they're people too. They just want to go out and relax, because it's a lot of stress.
Yeah, it's a job.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So
And
you
it's a
just
job that a lot of people, they say they want that fame, they want that craziness, but until they get it, they don't understand. Like, they don't understand the hard work that goes into it, even on a level like we did. You know what I mean? It's, I know I remember booking out shows, a month, 2 months in advance, and stressing every single day between ticket sales, promoters. Is this person going to cancel on me? Or is my sound and light guy the same person? Which luckily I had one dude who did a lot of the same, which saved me a lot of grief. But if you didn't, in-house DJ, like, no, I don't know. There's too many factors that will go wrong. I'm not going to say could go wrong. They would go wrong.
Yeah.
Murphy's
And
Law.
it's a lot of money. I mean, to be wasting. Like,
yeah. Oh, and it's your money. It's your personal money.
Oh yeah.
I did the Walk of Shame for a couple of shows, but I worked at a one show in Florida where we did a Loco Fest South at West Palm Beach, Florida International Raceway, and Maria and Chris were touring with Nonpoint.
Nice.
And Mudvayne.
Yep.
And Maria and Chris are like one of the nicest people ever.
They really are.
Yeah.
They really are.
Nonpoint too. Those guys are amazing. I don't know if you guys heard their new Prince cover.
I haven't.
Nope.
What's the song?
When Doves Cry.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I always liked that song too. I always thought it was a good song. Again, very underrated. The meaning behind it, people don't understand what the actual song means.
Yeah.
Great song though.
So if we're gonna talk about music, what's the best show you guys ever been to? Number one, just one. Your top rated, like I had to be at the show.
You got one, Zach? Because I have one.
Go ahead.
It was Ashes to New, In This Moment, Papa Roach, and Five Finger Death Punch. every one of those bands from Ashes to New to Five Finger, 100% like gave it their all. Like it was, you want if you were a non-rock listener and came in and saw the bands, you wouldn't know who was the actual headline besides the order that they were in. They all delivered that level to the highest point they could. So that would probably be the best show overall, I would say. Would definitely be those four. They were phenomenal.
Probably mine, to be honest with you,
Mhm.
would be ZZ Top.
I respect
I've
that.
seen them 3 times, and 4 years ago, they were at SPAC with Kid Rock, which was a pretty good show. So I love ZZ Top. Every
Yeah.
single song that they've had, I can't think of a bad one. I think when I'm not down and out, but when I'm drowning, we'll say,
Yep.
just I throw on some ZZ Top or whatever. But they're
So
amazing to see up close and personal. I've been stage front at SPAC, or I've been in the back, but it's crazy. And those beards are actually that long.
oh yeah. So our friend Andy says, and he's one of our guests too on one of our podcasts, says Band Made. We listen to some of their stuff. They're from Japan. Chris, I don't
Yeah,
know
that
if
shit is actually pretty good.
phenomenal group as well. So we're not forgetting them. And then
Nope.
our friends from Russia are saying Vor Red, which I
Oh,
don't exactly know what that means, but I'll
Yeah.
have to check them out. A good metal group I think me and Andy were talking about before was Alex the Terrible.
Mm-hmm.
He's phenomenal as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll definitely check these other bands out. Obviously Band Made we saw before, so I'll check out the Vor Red. What about you, Chris? What would be your favorite that you
that you were in the crowd for?
I was in the crowd for. I wasn't working for.
Not working, right,
Well,
right.
We have to set some parameters here.
Yeah. Somebody asked me how many shows I've been to, and I couldn't answer that question.
All of them.
Basically, like
all of them.
That's like a whole it's just one frame.
That's one day.
Yeah, no, basically. I'm gonna say, and this is kind of morbid, but it was Dropkick Murphys came off of tour, and they did a special One Boston concert at the House of Blues, and it was a power hour of all their stuff like 2 days after the bombing.
Oh wow.
Okay. And it was like invite only. They did like an invite only thing. My wife works at the hospital, and we got invited to go. And then they raised a bunch of money for the One Fund, and it was literally like all the togetherness. It was like everyone was like just unified.
Yeah. And
after like the big tragedy like that, it was something you really needed.
Absolutely.
As I don't know if you guys heard on one of my shows, my brother, we talk about him being at the bombing.
Yes.
On the finish line. So between that and my wife working and seeing the aftermath, I was kind of stuck in the middle trying to, keep everyone happy. So it was a nice like release of like stuff's back to normal. And everyone was just singing their head off, and it was like all their hits for an hour.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
And I'm glad
it's just kind of like too. I mean, like with that going on, and then I remember watching the baseball game right after 9/11.
Yep.
When Sammy Sosa ran out on the field with the flag.
Yeah.
It's kind of like what we needed. Same thing with the music. It felt good. You saw a smile on people's faces. People were happy, and you could see it. So
that unity.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I use that term. Well, you need to go back to 9/12.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, I was in high school when 9/11 happened, but
Same.
I felt like 9/12 was the most significant day ever, because it was like, it felt like people were buying each other's coffees and this like it was before the drive-through. Like this was like a trend thing.
Yeah.
It was just everyone was helping. Like it was like everyone had an American flag in their front yard.
Yep.
It was everyone had pride for the country.
Yep.
Yeah. It didn't matter where you were from,
No.
what your background were. Everyone at that time was American and unified as one. I totally agree. And I mean, obviously, you know, we're a veteran podcast, but you know, again, me and Zach did the firefighting, or we are doing the firefighting thing. And it's just one of those things that, like, I remember, you know, after that moment, after that day, like you said, 9/12, it was like you realize you were humble of like what actually matters in life.
Mhm.
And I think guys our age and girls our age understand that. We still understand the whole fact. Yes, we've become a little desensitized, but at the same time, we understand that that could happen all again tomorrow.
Yep.
And we need to keep people close to us that we really love. We need to make sure we're still good. Like, we have to take care of each other because that shit happened out of nowhere, but they were planning that shit for years and years. So, you know, guys our age and girls our age realize that and they understand that. So I think that kind of hit home for a lot of us. You know, us being up from New York, I had a bunch of friends in school who their parents worked in the city. You know, a few of them lost their family or whatever. But like the seriousness of what happened on that day, just like the marathon too. I mean, I'm not taking nothing away from that. That marathon was crazy.
Yeah.
I actually worked with a guy in Fulton County EMS who actually came from the marathon, quit 3 days after, and was like, I need to go back home to New York because I can't, like, it was too much for him. And he was there for almost 30 years running Boston Fire and Boston EMS. And we used to call him Boston Frank. But I mean, he literally had some real hard times after that because he was, again, right at the end. And his whole thing was just to make sure everyone was good, you know, make sure the heart rates came back down, all that. And you think of like a cush detail like that, and then all of a sudden it turns to an MCI that it's not even an MCI, it's total chaos. It's absolute insanity. And it's so awesome to hear that a group like that, like Dropkick, came through and was like, you know what, I need to do something for my community, and so on and so forth, because you don't get those guys who are still humble, who will come back to it. So it's so awesome to hear that happened. But yeah, I couldn't even imagine being a fly on the wall, just hearing it and that unity that you guys had in that small bar. You know, that's wild.
Yeah, it was a good time. It was vibrating, like it was crazy. Like everyone was there, and it was just all the emotions. And they sang.
Right, everyone was singing.
Yeah, and then they debuted their song that they didn't even mean to, like, they wrote it in that album, but it was called "Don't Tear Us Apart," and they played that song, and like everyone was just on top of their lungs. It was unbelievable. It was a great thing, and it had a bunch of other Boston bands on it too. But which, you know, Boston's very fortunate enough to have a lot of great groups. Like we even have a pretty no-name group that a lot of people don't know called Prospect Hill. I don't know if you guys would dig them.
That sounds familiar.
Yeah, they're really good on them. They have a lot of fun. But they're like kind of like a hard rock / like whatever. Like Adam, I used to book them once in a while, and they toured a lot with Seven Dust and Nonpoint. I can't think of who else they toured with. I think they toured with Papa Roach once too. They toured with mostly everybody.
That's awesome.
But
that's wild.
But I've always wanted to ask you guys, because, you know, like, so here's the thing. In this National Podcast Association thing, it's been really awesome to, like, you know, you guys reached out to us, to me, and
hey, we got kids too, man. That's life. We got daughters, actually, so.
Hold on a second.
You're good, man. You're good.
We're good. We're good. So we had the knock.
Bedtime, right?
Yeah, I know.
Yep.
This is the reason why I've been kind of slow on podcasting.
No, you're good, man. Hey, family's first. Number one,
Yeah.
family is always first.
But so I kind of blew up because of you guys, and like because of the MPA, like I got selected to the National Podcast Association podcast along whatever.
Yep.
But basically everything that like you guys have been truly amazing. So I've always wanted to say thank you, and I appreciate all you guys for everything you've done for me.
Thank
Yeah.
you. No, that means a lot to us.
And also the guy Brendan from Life of an Average Joe podcast too. He's a great dude too. You know, all you guys have been like truly like you're stepping up your game. I'm trying to step up my game. Everyone's trying to step up their game, and you guys are putting on killer shit. So keep it up, man. I'm definitely looking up to you guys. You know.
Oh, I appreciate it.
Yeah, that's humbling to us because like we're thinking vice versa. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it's a brotherhood, but it is a network that's really helped all of us out, and we're able to talk to people and talk to the listeners of like, I mean, and Zach, you can definitely chime in on this. How many people have come up to us or asked questions, or you know, and the people we've helped?
Not only the people that we helped, you know, it's like you get to a point, you know, I'm not saying we're, you know, famous or whatever, you know.
We're not Joe Rogan yet.
I'm not.
But Joe, we're coming.
Yeah, we're coming, buddy. Joe. We're coming.
Howard Stern, you ain't got nothing, man.
I'm coming for your mic, Joe. But you know, it's weird to walk around places, you know, like especially around Cobleskill, you know, Tony and like not all the time, but it's like every once in a while, hey, you're the one from Triggered, you know, like I've got that a couple times, you know, and it's like, wow, somebody's actually listened to this shit. You know, it's I don't know, it's, you know, and NPA's helped out a lot, you know, getting our, you know, and it's not like we asked them to, you know, put our stuff out. You know, they just do it automatically. I mean, it's and all the platforms that they put us on.
Yeah,
you know,
it's been great with that. Helping us out with that.
Like even Anchor, you know, like they threw us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, you know, and one thing I'm grateful for is the dedication that, you know, Tony has, you know, because I kind of fell off for a couple weeks, just had personal shit, just had to stop for a little while, but you know, iHeartRadio, like, ask Tony, like, how long did I push to be on iHeartRadio? I mean, it wasn't easy.
No, it's not.
But, you know, it was every day emailing. I felt like an asshole, you know, just annoying the shit out of them. Hey, can we be on, you know, iHeart? Can we be on iHeart? Hey, can we do this? Can we do that? You know, and we were actually in the middle of a podcast when I got the email from iHeartRadio saying, hey, you are now on iHeartRadio.
That's right. Yeah, we were,
weren't we? As a podcast. So, I mean, it's not only, you know, thanks to you, thanks to other people, Raul.
Yeah. Big shout out Charlie Mike,
you know, we're a family. And I felt that the first time that, you know, we reached out to you, you reached out to us, you know, it's like I've known you forever. Just the way we talk, you know, there's no hesitation. We cut each other off, you know, it's fun and I'm enjoying the whole ride. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So Chris, let me ask you about this, because I remember it because I watch a shitload of music and listen to a shitload of music while I'm doing work. And I was listening one day, and I love my Irish punk folk. I love it. It's just like, I don't know why, it just resonates with me. I'm like, fucking A, like I just want to tear shit up. I'm listening to it. So there's a group I listen to. Oh, bullshit, Alpha. All right. So this group, and I have pull them up, and one of my favorite songs already by them, which they have tons of songs. But my favorite song by them, hands down, is Barrels of Whiskey by the O'Reillys and the Patty Hats. Have you heard them?
No.
So to me, they remind me of the Blues Travelers mixed with Dropkick, mixed with like another Irish like punk band. They're
So
super
kind of like
great.
the Pogues.
Kind of, yeah. It's like it's weird, but when I heard them, I was like, okay, I think I can dig this, but I'm not sure yet. But I listened and saw the whole video, listened to the whole song, and a lot of times I like to listen to the song before I see the video, so I
Mhm.
can focus on the words and the music side of it. And then the video was exactly the way the song was, which I can appreciate because a lot of times it's not like that. I'll send you the video afterwards,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it's I love listening to music, especially like the old folk stuff like that, that speaks of our ancestors. So without going down this rabbit hole, because I know we don't have a whole lot of time left, we got about 14 minutes left. Um, everyone says, this race was deprived, this race was deprived, this nationality was deprived. Historically, and I'm just speaking on statistics and true
The
facts,
Irish.
the Irish were the most deprived from their own country to
Hmm.
here,
Hmm.
and they had to make whiskey and moonshine and all this other stuff to make their ends meet. Just like me coming Italian Irish, we were bricklayers, truck drivers, and drinkers. The Irish, you know, but that's how we made the money.
Hmm.
And listening to this one song and listening to a few of their different artist songs was like just bringing that history back out and the true history of the Irish heritage, more or less. And they came over here and leprechauns and unicorns and everything's great. It was how they did it in Ireland and then came over here as well. And it was just so. I like listening to songs like that have the true history. Like Zach said, I listen to a lot of Nordic music.
Hmm.
One because of my faith, but two because I also have historical ties way back then.
Hmm.
And it's so much more fulfilling. I'd rather listen to a song that said, "Hey, your probably was doing this, and that's why you act like this." You know what I mean?
Hmm.
I love raising my chickens. I love living off the land and stuff like that. I prefer water and electric, but hey, sometimes. But it's like that historic history is so much more powerful than, like you say, that resignation between what's going on at that point in
Hmm.
your life, where now a lot of songs are like, oh, and maybe this is just modern day certain genres. I had millions of dollars. I'm doing this. I have a brand new Bentley. I have this and that. I can't resonate with that because I don't have that, and I don't want that. I want something. For instance, New Breed is a artist who he has a famous song now, "Welcome to My House," and some of those lyrics are like, "You come to my house, you want to break in, you're going home in a body bag." Like,
Yeah.
my girl's not going to say shit. She's going to be mopping up the bloodstains. Like,
Yeah.
it's that basic rights type shit. But like, it's that kind of music that I can resonate more or less than the modern pop stuff. What are
Yeah.
your thoughts on that? Like, what are your thoughts of like the more modern stuff compared to like kind of what we grew up with, and what do you resonate with the best?
Uh, um.
I know they're not easy questions, man. I'm sorry, bro.
So, so the younger me that did not
Mhm.
give a shit about who I pissed off when I was doing, because I was very fortunate enough. Like, I always try to stay humble, but when you're 23 years old and you're doing big things, you sometimes have a chip.
Yeah.
So
Always.
when I started in like 2006, 2007, like with bigger bands and stuff like that, I started getting like my name around in that part of it. I used to say in the early 2000s, all you needed was a good bass line and a dance, and you would make it somewhere, because that was the time for Soldier Boy and
Yep.
and stuff like that. So I made like this song called the Huckle Shuffle. I was like, the Huckle Shuffle, boom, 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 and I'm like, there you go, give me a record deal. And that's basically like how it feels now. Again, like we were
Yeah.
talking, it feels like cookie cutter.
Yep.
Um, it's a method that's working with TikTok. Like TikTok, that's how
Mhm.
they marketing to these kids. Like I went to, like, my wife loves. There's this young rapper called Hobo Johnson. Um, he talks with everything like kind of like poetry. He raps like poetry, and it's really
Okay.
good. Like he's really really good. But the guy that was opening for him was Oliver Tree, who has that song "We Live On and On and On and On and On."
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
So he, like, we were in the foundation room we had the whole foundation room for ourselves at the House of Blues in Boston. My wife and I, it was a date night, whatever. And we were having dinner, and his manager comes up and he goes, "Oh, he has like 3 million followers and all this other stuff, and 75 million views, so he deserves to be here." Like, back then, it was like you had to have like actual physical sales.
Yeah.
Yes.
And the difference between that too, you also had to make a whole album.
Mm-hmm.
All you need right now is a song.
Yep.
Like, you actually make a good album, and then like the trend started happening, like, oh, you buy a CD for $16, but you have one good single. No bands give out multiple singles anymore, so
Yep.
I feel like it changed a lot, and people don't talk or react or feel the way they are feeling now they used to.
Yeah. I remember picking up mixtapes. So when I was younger, I hung out a lot in Schenectady and down there in New York, and it was like mixtapes left and right. Everyone with a tape recorder could sell a mixtape, and a lot of these guys had talent, but like you said, it wasn't just one album or two albums. Like, you had to have like a full package. Where now you can get, like, I'll use this as an example, and I didn't know about this till a couple weeks ago when the wife showed me these Island Boy dudes from Miami. Like, that's trash. To me, that's trash. Like, what are they actually doing?
They're trying to make it. It's in the song.
They're trying to make it. I saw the Snoop Dogg and Kevin Hart thing when they started talking about the Island Boys and that they're gangster all the time, and
right, like, but that's the thing, like, it's catching their eyes, the leaders of their industry. It's catching their eyes. Like, I don't know how that even happens.
Because what they do is, like, they sell their rights through music. So, like, think about, like, and they own everything. So that's kind of like what it is. So they're like, oh, we can like flip this real fast. Kind of like, I feel like the music industry right now, and hopefully people in my Facebook feed don't watch this far in. People are, it's like flipping a house right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it's like, we can get you. Boom. All right, good. Like, can you name one artist right now that, like, probably 4 years ago, that it has the same exact sound that he did before?
Yeah.
Or even if he did transition or did something different, is it as good? Like,
right.
Even Machine Gun Kelly, what happened to him? Like, he was good, and now he's like trying to be punk rock.
He was good. He did that diss against Eminem.
Yeah.
And then he went pop.
Yeah.
Yep. That's
and
because he had all that money, so they're like, okay, boom, and then like, it sucks too because he's a good actor too. So that Dirt movie, he's Tommy Lee, like, he plays him perfectly.
Yeah,
to a T.
Yeah,
like, literally, I think he's a better actor than he is an artist. He should pursue acting, and not even under Machine Gun Kelly, but under his real name, because I think he'll be a better actor long term than he would an artist. Because, like you said, Zach, as soon as you start going after Eminem, like, I understand they do these things like that and start beefs because that's going to get them, like, out there. For instance, ICP and Slipknot, that was a huge feud for a long time.
Yeah.
And they both knew, if we keep fueling this fire, it's going to bring more viewers, and more, popularity. But
the infamous one's Biggie and Tupac.
And look how that turned out. And that was, and I liked them both.
Yep.
Yeah.
I thought Tupac and Biggie were both ahead of their time. If they were here now, they would be saying similar things but different.
Yeah.
They would be talking more about get educated, take care of yourselves inside and out. Like, and those guys were next level as well. Just like that's why you don't hear a lot about in the hip hop game Nas anymore. Lil Nas X from Old Town Road, but Nas, he stepped back because he said, the game's not ready for me. I'm too ahead of it.
Yeah.
And without being arrogant like Kanye is, he said, I'm not going to produce any more music right now because it'll be a waste of my breath.
Pray for Kanye, though, because, that car scene just chewed him up.
Oh, absolutely. And again, that's that triangle.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, it's one big world with that.
Yeah, that's what's that's tough right now, and that's
Mhm.
what's tough for a lot of these bands. Like, I've personally know Sean from Smile Empty Soul.
Mhm.
I've booked them. This every one of his albums have been tremendous, and he drives
Mhm.
in a little van on these tours, headlining these tours with like three guys, a 3-piece band. They
Yep.
don't do a bus, and they literally tour for 350 days a year.
Yeah.
And every album of his, I don't know, look up not just Bottom of the Bottle, look up like every album and actually listen to every album of Smile Empty Soul. Every song is a freaking banger, and it will like. But he never gets the recognition. They only get that one song, and he gets like so pissed playing that song at the end of the thing because he has so many tremendous songs. So that's the shitty part about it. Like, or Sponge, like Sponge is good, but they're only known for Plowed.
Exactly. The one hit wonder type.
Yeah, and they're doing the same thing. You're paying for, in the music world, sure, money. A few $1,000s to do this thing just to get to the next one, and you're collecting and selling merch and stuff like that. And I think Nonpoint is now independent. They're the first ones to go independent, which is awesome because they don't have to worry about anybody else right now.
Yeah.
They re-released a bunch of their old albums under their new label.
Smart. Go public with it. One of my favorite bands that kind of did their own thing, and even though they're still very minimal in the sense of the scene and everything, is Bridge City Sinners. I don't know if you ever heard of them. They're more of a punk folk music, and their whole thing is, we're going to produce this music, but people who are coming up in the folk and the punk folk area and the scene, yes, of course, they're going to charge them because that's just business smart, but they're not going to kill them like these bigger labels are. And they started their own label, Bridge City Sinners, because they want that opportunity for others to tell their stories.
Yeah.
And it's very humbling seeing it. And they have good music too, but it's like you see these huge names, Sony and Live Nation, all these huge bands, or not bands, but companies taking these bands under, which is smart for them. But to them, it's just music. It's not about, or it's the money. It's not about the music. And we've kind of slid away from that. I'd rather listen to a bunch of no-name bands with good music than, like, No Doubt when they first came out. When Gwen Stefani was 15 years old, still in high school.
What's that song? When they're running around crazy on the roof.
Oh,
it's in their first album there. But you know what I'm talking about? Like
Tragic Kingdom.
That's all that goes in my head right now.
But it was just like one of those fun bands that, unfortunately, I hate using the word sell out because, unfortunately, they're all about the money. Most of the bands are about the money, but they had to sell themselves, their true selves, to get to that level.
Yeah.
Where, like you said, you got Smile Empty Soul. Even 311, they still play bands. Was it Real Big Fish? Old Sublime.
Mm-hmm.
They still play, and they're not out there trying to get super rich. They want to get paid, of course. But you have all these bands who are still amazing out there, and they don't get the recognition they deserve.
Yeah.
And it's sad, but we're not like they should.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, we got about 10 seconds left. Chris, where can we find you, man?
Frontstairstalks.com.
All right. Too easy.
Too easy.
All right, guys. Here we go. Like we always say,
stay triggered.
Stay triggered.
Stay triggered.
Thanks, Chris.
Thank you.
Good luck with that snow.
Oh, I know.
Hey, just